so welcome to another episode of the Talking Wheels podcast. It's the Speedway podcast, comes out to you every Saturday. Your host, Michael Wright. I'm on Twitter, Wright74. And I'll let Lynn introduce herself, my co-host.
Yes, my name's Lynn Murray. I'm a Speedway fanatic. Have been for many, many years. And I just enjoy everything Speedway and trying to help out Speedway riders along the way.
Yeah, we're getting a theme there, aren't we, Lynn? I think we've certainly from the episodes we've done so far, we've found ways that we can kind of help, and we've heard from a lot of riders about what would help them really. So, it's a really satisfying part of the podcast. So our guest today then, somebody who certainly to fans of Speedway, if we go back a little bit further and we look at Eastbourne, we look at Edinburgh, Eastbourne probably in particular, a real legend of the track there in the club, and it's none only than Cam Woodward. So Cameron, good to see you today.
Thanks for having me.
So how are you? I mean, you're back in Oz normally, aren't you? But I think you're over here for a bit, and in England for anyone who's not listening from the UK. But how are you finding things, and how long are you here for?
Yeah, so we've got 1 week left of a 5-week holiday, which is we're pretty lucky to be able to afford it. So we've been saving all of COVID times, and my wife's English, so she's been away from home for 2.5 years. So yeah, we've got to make it count while we've been here, and it's been awesome. They've been crook. My wife and my 1-year-old have been crook since we got here. Pretty much, they've come good finally, and I'm just a normal Joe Blow now. Just I'm a new homes consultant, building selling new home builds in Australia, and just in a 3x3 meter white cell that I go and work at behind the computer, and life's a little bit different, but same. You got to pay the bills.
Yeah, have you been able to catch up with anybody to do with Speedway when you've come back, or has it been more about family and just having good days out and what have you?
We've had what have we had? We've had 1 week here. I've caught up with both my old mechanics, Chris Gear and Ashley Wooler. I've caught up with Trev Gear once down at the Cycle Speedway in Hellingly, and once at his place I was borrowing some tools and grabbing some golf sticks. And I've been up to Buxton for one night. I just got back yesterday, I think it was. And my mate Adam Allett, and I caught up with Nick Allett, his dad, and Guy Allett, his granddad, who's 99 and 100 in September.
Wow.
So he's a former Sheffield rider, and I think he rode up in Scotland too for a year. Caught up with him. He used to do my engines and stuff when I first come over, and taught me a lot about Speedway. And so he's the nearest thing I've got to a granddad. So I never had a granddad growing up. So he was the nearest thing. So I had to make sure I go and see him. We spent a week in Ringwood with all of the in-laws and families and stuff, which was cool, apart from everyone was sick and the weather wasn't that good. But that's about it really at the moment. I've got to catch up with Lewis Bridger yet. I was going to go to Gorgeoff today for the GP, but just train strikes and Wizz Air and everyone having strikes, I was like, this is going to end up badly. So I didn't bother because I didn't want to get stuck in Poland. So I pulled out, which is a shame because a really good mate, Kill McCorpy, was going to be there and stuff. So, but anyway, that's life.
Have you actually caught any live Speedway while you've been over?
No. I had to flick through Eurosports whenever I'm allowed to touch the remote, and I watched a replay of Bellevue Ipswich, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Zagar was fine. But no, the nearest I've seen is Hellingly Lions versus I think it was Norwich or Ipswich on the Cycle Speedway in the juniors. That's what I've seen.
What kind of tracks are near where you're staying at the moment?
Well, it's a shame. I'm down at Eastbourne, so Eastbourne's not running at the moment. I've been up to have a look at the track just to reminisce a little bit and show my little son while he was sleeping, and he woke up there, so he had a bit of a cry there. Like I've cried there as well a few times. Yeah. And well, at Buxton, I drove past it going to the mountain bike park. No, the nearest one's Poole or Oxford. I was thinking about going to Oxford Wednesday night, but it's sort of like you either have to get it to a speedway track at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or it's so hard to arrive at 7, isn't it? Like it's all the traffic. So I didn't bother doing that either.
I did it. I made it all the way down from Glasgow to Oxford. Come on.
Oh, there you go. I've got a really shit excuse then, don't I? I was busy hanging out with guys at 5:30. So, sorry.
There's a good match on at Plymouth on Tuesday.
No, Plymouth's way too far.
I know it's actually too far for myself as well, because I've only got 1 day off, so it would take me 7.5 hours to drive down, watch the match, and then I'd have to drive 7.5 hours back and go straight back to work. So at my age, I think that's a bit much.
No, it's dangerous, isn't it? Really. No, so I'm not going to see any live speedway. I was hoping Gorge Off would be my one meeting, but I just got nervous about all the train strikes and stuff. So it's a shame they didn't strike in the winter when no one needs to travel. But that's not the effect of it, is it? So no, I'm not going to see anything really. Oxford would have been cool because I would have seen Sedgy and that with Glasgow, but it just sort of had me priorities in Buxton, so I tried to get that done. So.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Keep in touch. Sorry, Lynn. No, go on, Lynn. You go for it.
I say, now that you've got the wee one, does your wife still make you the wet woody cocktails?
No, I don't think I've had a wet woody cocktail since that interview with Wade Oranger. No, I avoid that stuff.
I had all the ingredients set out the last couple of times we were due to do this. I haven't bothered this morning, so that was the magic charm to get you on.
It's too easy to drink that stuff, that methanol moonshine. I avoid it like the plague because it's just too easy to drink. I'll end up in a heap. So
yeah,
no, none of them recently. Thank you.
No, well, if anybody wants the recipe, I managed to take it down from another podcast.
Nice work.
And
maybe we could put that in the description for the episode, and when it comes out.
I love that, the methanol moonshine for sure.
Yeah. So I know you're doing your house selling stuff as well, but you're still keeping your hand in with the mechanical side of things.
Sort of. I'll be honest, I haven't been in the shed for a long time. I've sort of, when it's something a dream sort of gets taken away rather than you get a choice to quit, maybe I've struggled a little bit with it. So I've got this beautiful big workshop that's not as tidy as it should be, but I've avoided it a fair bit. I'm into lawnmowers now.
Yes, I noticed that.
I love my lawnmower. And I actually found a Scott Bonner 17-inch in Carlisle, and I've been on Marketplace, and I've been trying to line up how to get Sedgy there and clean it up and send it back to Aussie, but it's just the money's not in it. If it was a 20-inch, I would have been all over it, but it's the same as what I've already got. So I'm obsessed with lawnmowers and lawn at the moment. I've tried to redo my mother-in-law's backyard, but I've sort of made a bit of a meal of it. No one's got sprinkler systems here, so it's a bit hard. I've seeded it with a seed that you can only use in spring and winter and autumn. So we've had some really ripper weather, so it's a pigsty. So I apologise to my mother-in-law Lynette. The backyard's not very neat, but I tried. But also, sorry, back to that question. I'm also keeping my hand a little bit with I'm refereeing back at home now, so I do maybe 5 meetings a year the last 2 summers. I don't enjoy it. I'm just all the old boys that have done it for so long that let me go racing. They're all over 60 now and can't see very far, so they've all been pushing me pretty hard to do it. And so I've got my level 3 or 4. I can't remember what it is now, which I can do state titles. I can't do an Aussie title yet. But I've done my Clark course for the Worlds, so that's pretty cool. Not that I'm trying to take Phil Morris's job or anything like that, but and Motorcycling Australia wanted me to do it because we didn't have many qualified ones in Speedway, so I put my hand up and done that. And 3 o'clock in the morning, I got up and done my tests and everything with Jan Stackman, which is pretty cool to see him. I haven't seen him since Stoke days when I was racing for Edinburgh. So that was really cool. It's cool to see some familiar faces. Glenn Phillips is doing the gig for the long tracks, which I raced against him a fair bit in the grass track and that. So it's cool to see some riders giving back. I totally understand why people don't, why they don't, because it does scar you a little bit once it's gone, because it's such a thrill and such a habit, and it's almost like a drug. For it to be gone, it's hard, but hopefully, 20% of us can give back, because like Davey McCullen, he's doing a lot of stuff for the juniors up in Glasgow, in Edinburgh, sorry, or probably both. So that's awesome to see. The next generation is not going to come through if we don't. So we've got to get over ourselves and our disappointment and give back.
Yeah, that's something that I'm getting involved in to try and promote, getting the young riders on a proper path, rather than it just being luck. They have somebody or know somebody, or it was in the family. Yeah, we really need a proper structure. Yeah, to feed them through, because I know like people like Greg Hancock that kind of stopped unexpectedly, and he's concentrating on bringing on the younger riders. It's maybe still a little bit raw for you because your situation leaving was slightly different. When Louis grows up a bit, would you consider teaching him?
No, he's golf. He's playing golf.
Oh, he's playing golf, right? Okay.
I've got two junior bikes. Well, I've got one. I got one when a friend of my father's passed away. He left it to my uncle and me. So I've restored that, and I've been sponsoring a kid every year. Mm. And then I've went and seen Bill Mitchell. He lives in the Adelaide Hills. He's an old boy now, and he's always sponsored Speedway. I've never had anything to do with him, and I walked in his shop and told him what I wanted to do, and got a phone call 3 weeks later. He goes, "I got 3 frames here. Come and grab one." So I was in Adelaide getting my son's eyes tested. So we drove up the shop again, Bill's Bits and Bikes, and I'll give him the plug in Birdwood, and he gave me a chassis for another junior frame. So I'm currently building that, and then I just had a moment of lunacy, and I been writing to Stuart, who used to sponsor me for the long track and stuff, and they build a junior chassis, so I bought one of them as well. So that's turned up as 20 kilos, and my wife's wondering how I'm going to get it home. So I'm just going to leave all my clothes like I used to do, and put it in my suitcase, hopefully. There's no need for it, but I like bits again. Now my son's come along, and I've sort of come up with this thing. I want, three junior bikes, all different sizes, that I can sponsor a kid every season and keep that rolling. We can afford to do it. We're not minted or anything, but I can afford to have those cool things run around the track, and they'll come back to me to get tidied up and everything. I don't want them to go anywhere else. But so yeah, that's sort of another way I'm trying to give back a little bit. It's sort of, but that's only just happened in the last probably 6 months or sort of since Hunter's come along. I'm like, there's kids. So I don't want to. It's stupid. We were battling really hard with trying to have Hunter. We had to go through IVF. We had a fair few misfires. So kids was a hard topic. And then as soon as he come along, it's like, yeah, kids. Everyone's got So he's been awesome.
But that's a good thing I hadn't actually heard before. Where the only place I'd heard something similar is in the Isle of Wight, what Barry Bishop's doing. He'll actually lend.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard it.
He'll lend kids equipment to get started.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then once they've built up a bit of momentum and decide they're going for it, then they buy their own kit, etc., etc. Because there's nothing like that up in Scotland or mainland Britain at the moment. But I think that's a terrific idea.
Yeah, it's just to get them started, because it's an expensive thing. No, a parent hasn't got $5,500 to go buy, a toolbox, crash helmet, boots, and it might be more, and then a bike, and then the kid turn around and go, it's not for me. My start was, my uncle built a bike for a bit of fun. He had a motorbike wreckers. He copied a Lee Adams upright and just made it out of just shit, really. But he put me and another kid on it. We both took skin off. We had, raw asses and raw thighs because we were wearing overalls, and no steel shoe. And I loved it, and the other kid hated it, so I got the bike. So that's sort of how I started it. So I think it's a hard sport to, as you said, unless your parents are obsessed with it or have ridden previously, you don't get into it. Where if there's lots of equipment out there to even just trial it. So what Aidan Collins does is pretty cool. He's not targeting the kids so much, but they ride and skid it in Buxton. Yeah. It's somewhere where kids can go and try. I think it's more of an adult midlife crisis sort of thing with money, but it's still an avenue that you can trial it. So there is stuff sort of starting to happen, which is really cool. What Aidan and Adam works for Aidan, which is really cool. So yeah.
And you do have stuff, but you need to have your own leathers and helmet. Or, Kevin.
Yeah. Well, I think the kids are allowed to ride in motocross kit at home. So most of the kids that'll give it a go will be riding motocross or flat track or something. They're sort of too, or they would have had at least a ride on a peewee, so they'll have a helmet and stuff like. I'm not going to get into buying all the kit. Screw that.
I'm definitely in the key demographic for the mid kind of life crisis. I was thinking about that when Barry was talking about his Speedway School. It's one of them. I think when you watch it, you think, oh, not that it doesn't look easy, does it? But it's almost one of them where you think, just be great to experience that feeling of being able to just get around the corners and hopefully stay on the thing. And even at midlife, I definitely want to have a go at it.
Yeah. So Aidan Collins and his dad Les Collins, he used to ride at Glasgow a lot.
Yeah.
And so they do it. Yeah, he was awesome. And I raced him in my first year, I think. And I think he smoked me too. Adam Allett as well. So they got 3 coaches that have all done it. And they got cool bikes, and they divide it into little track, and then they do circles, and then they go on the big track. So they do a really good job up there. I've sort of gone and watched it a few times, and they do the flat track up there as well, on little Honda 150s or something. And then because they had who did they have up there the other day? They had Joe Screen and John McGuinness and all those boys up there doing the flat track, which is pretty cool.
We had Cameron. We had James Pearson, obviously one of the young Aussies coming through, just turned 17, racing at Birmingham. We had him on the other day, and we talked a little bit about how hard it is to come to the other side of the world to make your career. For an Australian making his career, and obviously what we found was that it was quite interesting because he does keep in touch with a few of the Aussies here, and he almost gets a bit of a home from home, although it's hard for him to have a base because he's racing in different countries. Can you think back to when you first came over and started racing in this country, and how that adjustment was for you?
Yeah, so I think I qualified to come over for a World Under-21s when I was 16, and my parents said, "Look, man, you're not going until you got a driver's license," which I didn't argue with. I thought that was fair enough, and Mum wanted me to finish school, which was another fair enough. So I didn't come. I come when I was 18. I come for 6 months, and I didn't have a job. I didn't have a work permit. I just come on a holiday visa just to see what it was all about. And that was really reliant on, so Lee Adams, he picked me up, went and lived with him for a couple of weeks. They got me a van through Randy Owen at Owen Brothers, who I'm very thankful for. He supported me in my whole career. I remember ply lining this van in the snow, and I thought, I don't know if this is for me, really. I'd never play with timber, let alone be in the snow. So I did that for a few. And then I went straight up to Buxton, hung around with Adam, who was riding at King's Lynn, I reckon, at the time. And she hung around at Sheffield, and I'd done second half, so knocked myself out at King's Lynn in second half. Did a World Under-21 qualifier at Poole, crashed and burned. And then I did second half at Edinburgh and maybe Glasgow. I can't remember. On Kev Doolan's bikes, because I sent my bike home. And that was when I got to Edinburgh. I met the boys up there, and they got me back the next year on when the rules sort of changed that winter we could use the working holiday visa, which is sort of like a reciprocal thing in Aussie. So that was pretty cool. That's how I got started, because before that it was real rough for the Aussies with the average. They used to come in on a 9, I reckon, when Kev Doolan and Trav McGowan come over. I think it was 9 in the Premier League and 4.5 in the Elite League, which was hard.
Yeah.
And then I come in on 7, I reckon. I can't remember. Maybe it was even less. Might have been a little bit less. So and Edinburgh gave me my Guernsey, so it was good.
Yeah, you're
it
the wrong
was
side
tough.
of the country, but I'm biased. I'm a Glasgow girl,
Yeah, definitely. No, they didn't want anything to do with me. No, it was Edinburgh and Isle of Wight were the two that took punts on Aussies at the time, and sort of pull a little bit, which was cool. So that was my entry in. It wasn't a track that really suited me. I had this discussion with Guy. I was really worried about Guy because I'd heard that he'd done a big spell in hospital and stuff, but he's out in respite now. But that he wasn't remembering people, but he remembered me straight away because he's probably had enough of me.
Great.
But anyway, we were discussing tracks and where I went, and he thinks I went the wrong places. I was very leg back and big track, and I rode at Edinburgh and Eastbourne, which are two really small ones. So they were good for my development. I think it was something I had to learn, but I don't think it suited. I think I could have, got more points and got more confidence at a bigger track if I was at Peterborough or Lynn or Coventry or somewhere a bit bigger. He reckons I would have got on a run and got me confidence, sort of thing. So it's sort of, but that's life. That's sort of, you take the job that you get offered. And I wasn't chasing something different because I was both clubs. I was really looked after and didn't want to leave. Edinburgh left me, so I was really happy everywhere. Everyone that gave me a Guernsey, I wasn't looking over the fence. I was really happy where I was.
And what about when riding overseas? Because you rode in Sweden and Poland and Germany.
Yeah.
Long track.
Poland was really good to me. I had a very bad incident where I lost my passport on the flight to Riga for a so Rzeszów were to get up to the first division if they won against Daugavpils, and I had a really good meeting there in the league, and then the playoffs it was a shoo-in that Daugavpils didn't want to make it into the first league, and we did. And I didn't make it, and we didn't make the first division, and Daugavpils give up their spot. So that cost me a lot of money. That was a real scar. And then I went after that. No one in Poland touched me, so I went to Hungary. They had a Guernsey in the second league or whatever it was, the Premier League of Poland, and they didn't pay. And then I went to Lublin the next year, and they were third division. Were desperate to get to the top league, really, and they were wonderful to me, and they're still going great. I think they've had a bit of a change of promotion now, but they're winning I think I'm pretty sure they're leading the extra league with Mikkel Mikkelsen and that. So Poland was really good to me. Sweden was good. I'd never got a heap of meetings over there, but my last year I had a really good run at Kumla, Indiana, where home of the Gustafsons.
Yeah.
Which was mega. Like the track was like Peterborough, big and grippy, and I was kicking ass there. That was good fun. But where else did you? So Poland was good to me. Sweden was good to me, but I never really got so Poland I was a regular. It was purely that if I hadn't helped the lady get her bag up and put my passport on the seat, and they threw it off at Gatwick, and I took off. If that hadn't happened, I think Poland would have been a gem, really. But
yeah.
Well, I don't help anyone with bags anymore. Stuff them.
Who's looking after your passports this time? Because I hear the last time Naomi came back on her own, she lost her passport in the UK.
Yeah, we got form. Us Woodwards, we're like useless at it. So Yeah, she reckons she got it nicked, like someone nicked it off her at Gatwick when she first arrived. But yeah, so I jumped on the flight, you know, what they are, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to ignore this.
Somebody calling. Yeah.
Someone's trying to call me. He'll give up. You can still see me, can't you? Yep. So
I can hear you. Yeah.
So I jumped on the flight early in the morning, showed my passport and the pass to the air hostess. Sat it on my seat. I seen this. I went to sit down. And this lady was struggling with a suitcase. So I'm like, I dumped that. So I had 2 free hands on my seat. Run up, threw a bag in, walked back to his seat, sat down, and didn't see there was no passport, so I just switched off.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I put my hood over like we all do and fall asleep and get up. You know, everyone empties the aeroplane. I'm still checking pockets, bags, everything for my passport. And this air hostess comes up to me and she goes, "Is everything okay?" I said, "Oh, I've lost my passport." And she goes, "Oh, are you Australian?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she just runs off crying. And I'm like, that's a little bit strange. I've never had that effect on women. Like, really? Like, I'm usually pretty friendly. And this other air hostess comes up and says, "We are really sorry. Your neighbour in your seat give the passport to us. We assumed it was from the last flight and threw it off to the security in Gatwick, and we took off."
Oh no!
So that was horrendous. That was absolutely horrendous. And €5,000 fine I got from my club, and they had my bike, so I was screwed. So that really knocked me for 6. That did. That knocked me flow in Poland and everything, which hurt a lot. It took a lot to get back. But anyway, that's part of life.
Right, just look after your passport so you can get back to Australia.
That's it. Yeah, she's looking after him, actually. That's a very good point. I better go check.
Easy to do.
Yeah, it is.
So it sounds like you look back at your career fondly, but you know, as probably some other riders would describe, that stopping of the adrenaline rushes, the whole routine around it is quite hard to kind of get past in a way. So you're doing stuff now. Do you still look for that energy, that drive, that kind of camaraderie as well? Do you still look for all of that?
I'll be honest, I haven't, because of my injury. So I had the femur that wouldn't heal, which pretty much signed me off. But I decided to make a comeback because the doctor cleared me. It was a comeback purely just riding Aussie because I wanted to have fun. And second meeting riding in Gilman, I snapped my hip. Then went into hospital. Oh, obviously went in the back of an ambulance to hospital. And the next morning, a surgeon comes in and says, "Oh, look, do you know your femur's not healed yet?" I'm like, "No, I got an email from the doctor saying I'm good." And he's like, no, it looks like the day it broke. I said, "Well, that was 2 years ago. So what do you do?" And then the hip was smashed as well. So because the femur rod acted like a big crowbar.
Yeah.
So it was. Then they they pulled the shaft out, put it through my knee, try to fix me hip good enough to be able to walk around, and it was like 4 years of injury. Like 4 years, my leg hurt. So I sold all my dirt bikes. I've got a Speedway bike and a long track bike mounted up really high that I can't touch and don't want to. And I've got a Harley, so I've got the slowest thing I could find. So I've been avoiding it like the plague. But since I've been here, I've ridden a push bike probably every second or third day because there's hills here. And I've absolutely loved it. So I've signed up for the Mountainless Bike Club back home in Mildura, and I'm going to race it. You know, I think I race twice a month. So I need to, because I've really enjoyed it. I've loved the racing, chatting, downhill scary stuff. Yeah, I need to do it because I've just been going to work and it's not healthy just going to work. And I've probably been an absolute nightmare to live with too. So I apologise to my wife, to everyone. But yeah.
I guess there's an element of how you define yourself, isn't there? If you've been racing since a young guy and racing all across Europe and different places, then it's quite a sudden stop, isn't it? To have to kind of accept that, okay, that was me, but where am I now kind of thing.
Yeah, huge. I'm still trying to find, I don't know if you ever find your feet, but just this holiday's been a bit of an eye-opener that all I've been doing is going to work, mowing my lawns, and doing the family thing, which it's probably maybe a nightmare to live with. So I need to sort myself out and get fit, because I hit I hit 87 kilos the other day, which I was 70 kilos racing, so 17 kilos heavier. So it was a bit of a wake up call this trip, which has been good. So I'm going to get fit and healthy, and I hate the gym, hate pools, but I love cycling. I always have. I've always been into cycling, so I'm going to be back on the pedal bike.
Yeah, and kind of, and that sounds cool. And linked to some of what you're saying there, and I don't know what you remember of this, but when kind of, looking back at your career and looking at things you've done in the media, I mean, I think it was a BBC interview. Do you remember this one? I think it was about anger management. Do you remember all of that?
Yeah. I did not want to do that. And someone showed me on YouTube the other day, someone I met, they bloody Googled me while I was having a beer with them, and it come up. It was a sports psychologist I was seeing. And he's like, I got this spot on BBC. Do you want to come up with it? I said, nah. And he's like, it's kind of a big deal. Like, BBC morning breakfast, not many people get to go on that. I'm like, so I don't want to go on it. And he's like, well, you're going on it anyway. I was like, all right, cool. So caught the train up there, and I had to wear a shirt, which I didn't want to do either. But anyway, yeah, I do remember it, but not with fondness. I don't like.
Yeah.
This is nice and casual, but I don't like talking about myself or having a camera in my face at all. So it doesn't come natural. And I'm a bloody salesman now. I can't work it out. Life just keeps throwing curveballs at me that I have to hit. That's part of the fun of it, I suppose. Expansion, growing. Yeah, it's weird.
But yeah, you definitely send me to a little bit Naomi. Speedway wise, I think I've got to be a special breed, because generally they come second to the bike.
Yeah, so we've been together 7 years, 8 years. I think I only rode probably for 3 of them. So she's been lucky. She didn't have to give up a whole heap. Like, I think I look at now with Hunter and how much time and effort I put in as a father. It wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened when I was racing. So it's something wonderful's come out of something bad. So I feel like my son's getting a better experience of me rather than racing, because racing they would have all been, as you said, second fiddle for sure. So she's not.
You find your new groove.
Yeah, that's what I've got to do. Correct. Otherwise, I'm just going to be angry dad, aren't I?
Yes.
You must play golf, and you must be good at it.
Are you flying as well? We'll see on your Insta. It seems like you're flying a lot. Is that your aircraft, your dad's or somebody's?
No, it's my dad's. So when we built this latest house, Dad pushed me really hard. Oh, that's when I got my hip replacement, actually, is when he built the shed. So I've got a really nice 9 by 15 meter shed, which I thought was too big. It was overkill. And I discovered the week after the concrete was dry and there was an aeroplane in there, why he was pushing me so hard for it to be big. So he bought a half-built project off 2 pilots, like Qantas pilots, and finished it in my shed. So I don't have a pilot's license. My old man's a couple of years ago called me and said, look, when he was trying to get me away from bikes, he said, look, I'll pay for your license if you go and do it. But it doesn't interest me. I like going with him. We go look at, we have a big safari race in Mildura, so I go and watch that. There's a huge big Hatter Desert race for the bikes. We go and watch that from up in the air. And we have a massive ski race on the river. So we go chase that every year. But it's too slow. No, it's too. You can see everything. It's calculated, and I'm not calculated. As anyone that raced me, I'm definitely not calculated. I'm a little bit loose, but it's not for me. Yes, I might get to that age one day, but I don't have enough. I have enough money to play with junior speedway bikes. I don't have enough money for aircraft. That's next level for sure. But my old man loves it. He's every weekend. He's either flying it or working on it. So he's pretty proud of that one. That's a general aviation, 300 and something k's an hour, 2-seater that shifts real fast. So he loves that to bits. So he had 3 aircraft there for a little while, but he's finally sold one and he's got to sell another one now. I'm trying to get him into cool old cars or bikes so I can ride them, but he's bloody just keeps doing aircraft, which it's not my thing.
Can Hunter go in it? Do you have a baby seat in there?
We were actually toying with trying to test his ears before our big flight over here because he hadn't flown at all, and so it was 40 minutes Mildura to Melbourne, then 6 hours in the airport, then it was 4 hours to Perth from Melbourne, and then it was an hour. I think it was 50 minutes in Perth. Then it was 17 hours from Perth to London. So we were pretty nervous, and we were going to test his ears in it, but we didn't get around to it. I was too busy with trying to get work all tidy before we left and everything. So he was sort of sat on my lap, but we didn't get time. So, but he was a gem. He played up on the first 2 just in excitement and being a kid, but the last one he slept 9 hours, which was fucking awesome. Apart from he was honest and he's really hot because he's too big for a bassinet. He's a little bloody Buddha. But we couldn't ask for more than that. So if it can be half that good on the way back, I'll be pumped because, I've sat beside him behind kids that have played up the whole way, and traveling would lose its appeal very quickly.
And you talked earlier a little bit about, you were hoping to get to the GP tonight and meet up with old friends. I don't know if you've seen much of the GP now since, Discovery Plus have got involved, and what you think of it. It's obviously quite a few big changes to the way it works and the way it looks. Yeah,
so I've watched all 3 now. I think they left me with a controller. I think I've caught up on all 3. Yeah, I have. It doesn't feel any different to me. I don't think I like the Kevlars with the logos on the Kevlars. I get it. It's more comfortable, but it doesn't seem uniform, which I liked. It was something different. No other sport has to wear bibs, catch your spit and drool. But I kind of like that. It's something that, we used to get Speedway Stars 3 months late when I was 13 years old at the club. I used to go to the club and we used to, and they were always chest plates. So I don't know, I've got a weird attraction to them. But they could have sewn the same colour onto their Kevlars. Anyway, it's working. You can still see the numbers and everything, but that's kind of cool. I'm stoked to see Dan Bewley in there. I'm kind of sad about the Russian thing, but I totally get it. I've sort of done a bit of. It caught me by surprise because Australia's a little bit out of it, or it's way out of it, with our press and everything. But I've done some reading and stuff, only on Facebook and stuff like that. But I kind of get it, because the power is in the people of who are voting for the nutter that's in charge at the moment. But Dan Bewley, I have mechanics for him and Tom Brennan a few times in Mildura, both cool. Great kids. And Dan just looked something special. I stood there with Shane Bowes, who used to ride for Glasgow.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, yes. Legend.
Yeah, I stood there and Fraser was in the same race, and we both just looked at each other and we're like, oh, he is something special. If he can stay injury free and keep his morals and his head, I think he's going to be an absolute weapon.
Yeah, I mean, we thought it was a disaster, to come back from the injury that he did, young Dan.
Yeah, with the femur as well.
It was phenomenal because he started out at Glasgow.
Yep. Yeah.
All the best people do. You picked the wrong Scottish club.
The Glasgow didn't pick me. That's how it works.
I knew this was going to happen. I should have been ready to jump in there early, but I knew this was going to happen. honestly, Cameron, if you've got no affiliation with Glasgow, then you have to answer to yourself when you come on the show. That's unfortunately what happens.
I love the passion. It's good. That's how Speedway keeps on running. It's the passion of the fans and that. So
it is, and this Friday it's Tom Brennan's 21st birthday on Saturday, a week today.
Yep.
And he shares a birthday with me, and I'll be 22.
Nice.
And Ben Basso as well. And we're actually having a party at Glasgow on Friday.
That's cool. That's very cool.
You know, we're just having a big. Well, there's a Speedway meeting going on as well, but you know,
the birthday's way more important.
The sideshow, the sideshow of the
21st is a big thing. I had a bloody breakfast. 21st in Aussie, I'm probably sure it's the same here. 24th is huge, normally 21st birthdays, but mine was a bloody breakfast, which my parents are amazing and made it happen because there was Aussie titles in Mildura that night. And then I think there was a round 2 days before and 2 days after. So yeah, there was no room to really party. But yeah, 21st is pretty cool. And he does it in a season, which I can totally sympathise with him.
Yeah.
But racing is number one. Partying is number two.
I'd suggested it kind of as half a joke because it is actually a significant birthday to myself. But and then I didn't really think too much about it. Then it started gaining momentum. And last night, Tom and Ben both come up and said, "Is the party still on? Have you ordered the cake? And is the party plate?" Yes.
Awesome. That's good.
All the boys have made sure that their calendars are clear for Saturday and Sunday. So they don't have to go anywhere for 2 days.
Yeah, a bit of recovery.
Yeah. But I think sometimes that kind of milestone, if you're a youngster riding, it can get missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know, the parents are over just now, but they're actually going back to Denmark before his 21st. Don't know quite how they did that, but yeah, and of course it's going to be bittersweet for Tom with his mum, but
yeah,
it gives them something else to focus on.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you say, you know, with seconds to it and can be lost with Speedway. So I've spent many years going to Buxton, many years. I used to always build my bike shed until I come down south, and but it was always like a halfway house, and I never ever remember a blue sky ever. But it's mainly because I didn't give a shit about anything other than where I needed to be next or anything like that. But yeah, I went there and I had 2 days of not a cloud in the sky. It was 24 degrees. It felt like 34. It was, this countryside was absolutely stunning, blooming, bloody, and I was having a ball cycling. I said to Adam, "It's never like this." And he goes, No, we have days like this sometimes. And I'm like, I just missed it all because that's just all you try and do is get to the next track, and you only look at the weather for the race meeting. You don't give a shit about the morning of. You don't give a shit about the night after. It's crazy how much I missed. But that's life, and being young as well.
I'm going to move us. I mean, I feel like this has gone in like 10 seconds, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to move us to what we call a 5-ride maximum. It's a bit of a quick fire chance to just ask you a few things about, your preferences, things you like, and around Speedway. So the first one for your first 3 points, it's just about your favourite track. You said about tracks that you did well at, but weren't always your most suited ones. But do you have a favourite track or stadium even from the days when you were racing?
I really liked Kumla in Indiana and Kumla in Sweden.
Yeah.
Best stadium, I really liked Rzeszów. They had a brand new grandstand built on the other side, and when everything was going good, it was wonderful. To hear that many fans chanting your name, and they couldn't say it properly, which is even funnier. It was like Wood. The W's are V's, V's are W's. That was kind of cool, but it was then soured because of what went on. But you can't beat. I've never ridden there, but you can't beat like Torrent or Cardiff. Like I never ridden at either track, but just how the stadium's on top of you is incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Gorgeoff will be the same tonight. They're on top of you, and it looks amazing. So to ride in front of people like that sort of thing would be just incredible week in, week out. You probably wouldn't appreciate it, but now I'm a bit older and retired. Those stadiums are just incredible.
Yeah. Great. Well, that's 3 points. So in the bag, and Lynn, let's go for the next one.
So, is there a track that you dreaded going to, that you didn't really like? You thought, oh no, I've got to ride there.
Hull.
Hull Vikings one.
Yeah, Hull. I went there 3 times, I think, and I went there. I got 0. The first time I went there, I actually managed to crash twice in the one race, which is disgusting. But so it went. Aussie, you don't. Well, I never had Blue Groove and Dusty. Never ever had it because we had water trucks and graders. But I spun it around. I think I was close to someone or something. I spun it around, got back on, angry as, and finished the race and went over the start finish line, shut off, and then hit the Blue Groove, and it just took off, and I crashed again. So that was bad. And then I went back with Edinburgh. I think it must have been my second year. I don't know if they ran both years that I was at Edinburgh or not, but I went and got 16 or something, and I was like, that was awesome. And Exeter, I didn't like either. I didn't like narrow and unpassable tracks because I couldn't trap to save my life. So I hated anything that you couldn't race at. So I just thought it was pointless. Like it's not what the sport's about. Just trapping and go. You might as well go watch horse racing. So they were my 2 hatreds because they were just so narrow. Not enough room. Yeah.
Which the fans love. I mean, I grew up watching Mark Loram and people like that just coming from the back, missing the gate, and Henkel when he came over. Just amazing to watch people like that. Okay, so that's 6 points. 6 points out of 6. So the next one, do you have a favourite rider, whether that's somebody from the past that really inspired you early days, or just anyone really that you look up to? Is there a favourite rider?
There's a few of those. So that's probably cheating. When I was young,
go for it.
When I was young and impressionable, 13, 14, 15, I thought Billy Hamill was the coolest dude on earth. He sounded American. Well, he's American. He had the Troy Lee design showies. They had the Team Exeter stuff. He was world champion in 96. I thought he was the dude, and I wanted to ride like him. Then when I was 16, 17, Lee was sort of my obsession. I wanted to ride like Lee, which I could never ride like Lee. No one can. And I loved Loram as well at the same time. They were both Owen brothers. So I loved Loram for his racing, and I loved Lee for his style. So they would probably be my 3 main ones. Billy Hamill was like just the dude. I just thought he was the coolest guy. He interviewed well. He spoke well. He was like the full package. He was cool. It was just sad to see he didn't stay in that Mecca. That he dived off a bit towards the end, but he was still the same dude and still raced and still had the same style. But I felt like when he won in 96 or 97, I thought he'd just keep on going because he just seemed like that full package from Australia, in Mildura, middle of nowhere. But I'd go with Billy Hamill. Why not?
Yeah, nice one. Some good names there. So there we go, Lynn. We've got 9 points. 4th ride now.
Okay, I get the awkward questions to ask. So, is there a particular rider that's not necessarily the personality, but that you don't like to ride against? Or it might be a personality, like, or it might be you have something with them, like Antonio Lindback.
No, Nicky Pedersen was hard. He was so hard. He knew what he was going to do to you. And it was the only option you had to try and pass him, and he just knew how to stop you. He was really hard. I really don't like the bloke that ended my career at all. Maxim Bogdanov. He nearly finished Doilies too, I think. Doilies or Troy's, I can't remember. Someone buggered their hand.
Yeah.
I think it was Doily, wasn't it? So he nearly ruined both of our careers. He definitely ruined mine. So I don't think much of him at all. But I love Nicky for personality. I think he's a legend as a person. Yeah. He's an absolute lunatic, and great for the sport. No, they're mine too, I reckon. Yeah, Bogdanov was really loose and crazy and shouldn't have been on there, but he was fast. It was hard.
Yeah.
1 second, sorry. Yeah. Yep. Done. Yep. Sorry, I've only got 5 minutes.
Yeah. 2 minute, 5 minute warning, 2 minute warning.
Yeah.
Right. So
go with Bogdanov.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's quite interesting actually to hear the answers to these questions, because it's stuff that you don't tend to hear during, as a fan anyway. I'm sure that the riders talk about it between them. All right, so the last race, Heat 15, you're on 12, ready to go. It's just a simple one, really. I'm just wondering if you remember your first meeting that you raced in or watched. Just if you remember a bit about it, what you remember.
First, I can actually remember, I don't know who the rider was, but I can remember my dad taking me to a end of summer meeting in Mildura before I had to go on the bike. So, and lines in that were home. So I knew that someone put someone through the old fence by the pit gate, which was red gum in Mildura, onto the Coke stand. And he landed on the top of the Coke stand. I don't know if it was Jason Hawkes or someone like that. I can't remember, but that was hectic. And Dad's like, "Oh, you're gonna have a go at this tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, is he gonna be there? I hope not." But I didn't even know what the sport was before I was 12. I honestly didn't even know it existed until he took me to this meeting, and then we rode the next day. And Jason Lyons come down. He's probably a bit of a hero of mine too, actually. So he come down with his girlfriend, and his dad wasn't there then, but Roddy's dad had a lot to do with my career early on and juniors. But yeah, so gumboots, overalls, and lots of skin removed. That's my first memory of Speedway. It was painful, but I loved it.
That sounds like the name of an autobiography if you ever decide to write one.
Yeah.
No, buy it.
Anyway, look, Cam, that's 15 points. You got your maximum. You're right down by the pits gate, and you're getting the bumps, and the crowd are going crazy. So thanks for that, indulging us and letting us know a bit more. And just overall, I mean, it's a shame to bring it to an end, really, because you're really an interesting guy, and I think you've had such a great career, certainly in the UK, and we remember you really fondly from your racing. So just a bit from my point anyway, just a really big thank you from me for sticking with us and coming and joining us and giving your time up. And I just hope you enjoy the rest of your time in the UK and safe trip back to Oz when you go back.
Thank you very much. No, I've enjoyed it. And if you ever want to do it again, the international side, more than welcome. Yeah, I'm sorry the two other misfires that we had. Life and family got on the road, but that's fine. No, I've enjoyed it a lot, and I'm glad I'm not forgotten, but that's fine. I'll keep giving back anyway. I'm not doing it for any thanks or anything. It's more I feel thankful for the sport and the style I got to live for a little while. It wasn't as long as I'd hoped to do, but what I did get out of it was still incredible. So
excellent. Thank you very much for joining us as well. And
not too easy.
Bring a cocktail next time.
I might get some loose stories then. I don't want to do
that. Brilliant. All right, we'll see you. We'll do
have a great
sometime.
birthday, Lynn.
Oh,
have a great birthday, Lynn, and pass on my best to Tom. He's a good lad.
I will do. I told him last night I was talking to you this morning, and he didn't give away anything.
Cool. All right, I'll catch you
again. We'll do it again. Nice one.
Yep.
Cheers, Cam.
Cheers. See ya. Bye.